What's going on, guys? I'm Justin, and welcome back to Critter Hunter. Today, I want to talk about 10 amazing creatures that are on the top of my bucket list to find. So let's get going.
Critter Hunter.
So, as every underwater explorer, underwater videographer, scuba diver knows, there are some species that we all want to see. And like I've said in previous videos, I have a lifer list where I cross off species that I got to film once in my lifetime. And there are still a lot of insane creatures that are at the top of my list that I haven't seen yet. So I want to talk about those, where I can find them, and how awesome they are. So let's get started.
Number 1.
So number 1 is the Comely nudibranch. Now, nudibranchs are awesome. There's countless different species, color variation, all that. But in my mind, the top of the food chain, the one I've never seen but I've always looked for, the one I want to see the most is the Comely. These guys are insane looking. They're almost completely transparent except for what looks like a skeleton. You can see their insides, and I mean, just look at this photo. They look amazing. This is definitely one that I have to see. Now, I have friends in both Romblon and Anilao, Philippines, that say they see them all the time. So I've flown there, and I mean, I spent, 2 weeks in Anilao? I saw everything you could possibly think of, but I did not see these guys. So now I gotta make another trip. I gotta find them. This is, for me, the holy grail of all nudies.
Number 2.
And number 2, I gotta say, the psychedelic frogfish. Now, if you guys know this frogfish, you're lucky. And if you've ever filmed it, you're extremely lucky. As you guys know, I love frogfish. I film them all the time here in Philippines, all over the world, really. But I think, to me, the top of the list is the psychedelic frogfish. Mostly just because how rare it is, and as well as how awesome it looks. So the psychedelic frogfish can only be found around one island in Indonesia. That's the only place in the whole world where this can be found. And even if you're there, the island is called Ambon. Even if you're there, it's hard to find still. This frogfish is so sought after and so rare that when the dive guides and the dive resorts finally find it, they send out a press release to all these divers and networks and underwater videographers saying, hey, we found one, he's in town, you gotta get here quick. So I've known dudes that have flown, on half a day's notice from Sweden to Indonesia, or from France to Indonesia, from US to Indonesia, just to film this guy. And it is definitely number 1 frogfish that I want to see.
Number 3.
So, number 3 is the white ribbon eel. You're probably saying, I didn't even know that existed. Well, neither did I. I filmed the blue ribbon eel, which I made a video about. I filmed the black ribbon eel, which I made a video about. And, well, I'm still searching for the yellow ribbon eel, but it's not that rare. I do want to see it, so that maybe should be on the list. But if I'm talking about even more rare ribbon eels, it's the white or albino ribbon eel. Now, I didn't even know it existed, but my marine biologist friend, Daniel Gary, he recently went to Indonesia, and he found other biologists that had been seeing this white ribbon eel throughout just small areas in central Indonesia. So he actually got to see it. And some of these, it's hard to find photos and stuff to show you guys, but, well, ribbon eels are probably my favorite and the coolest eels or moray eels on the planet. So why not have the most rare one on my list?
Number 4.
So number 4, I'm going to go with the banggai cardinalfish. Now, cardinalfish, they're not particularly rare at all. I mean, you can see them in aquariums even. But the banggai cardinalfish is only in Indonesia. Okay, it seems like all the fish so far in Indonesia, but don't worry, we'll get away from that in a minute. But the banggai is something that every diver, especially underwater videographers, photographers, macro critter lovers, you need to see this. And it just so happens they're usually around Lembeh Straits, maybe south of there as well, in Indonesia. But the banggai cardinalfish is unique and it's rare. You can only find it in one location in the world. So that makes it awesome. And I've definitely never seen one. What makes it even cooler is that they're the main food source for ribbon eels. So if I could get footage of a ribbon eel grabbing a banggai cardinalfish, oh, my life is complete.
Number 5.
And number 5 on my bucket list is the leatherback turtle. Now, I know some of you are like, oh my god, I've seen so many of those. I've seen that. That's not rare. But really, it is. It's probably the most rare sea turtle that you can see on the norm. I've seen tons of green turtles. I've even seen hawksbill turtles, everything in between. But the leatherback turtle is super rare to see in the wild, especially the full-grown monsters. I've seen shells and stuff at museums and places like that, and they can grow up to 2,000 pounds. I love those things. I have to see one in the wild. I have to film one. That's just going to be the ultimate turtle experience, I think. I ignore green turtles. I don't want to waste my battery. I've filmed so many. But if I see a leatherback turtle just swinging by, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to use my entire battery. I'm going to use every little cubic inch of air in my tank, and I'm going to film it. Now, I just recently told my friend that this is like the ultimate turtle for me to find. And he said, well, come to Grenada. So my friend lives in Grenada. Grenada, sorry. I always mispronounce it. It gets mad. Grenada. And Grenada, the country in the Caribbean, not the city in Spain. Anyways, he lives in Grenada, and they have a leatherback turtle hatching sanctuary thing. And they would volunteer each year to go protect them from poachers and birds and whatnot. And then when the time came, they would see the little leatherback turtles hatch and run into the sea. Okay, well, a lot of people have seen that, and that's freaking awesome. I would love to see that as well. But to see a full-grown 2,000-pound turtle, leatherback turtle, in the wild while I'm diving, now that's rare.
Number 6.
So number 6 is a mola. I know I said I was going to get away from Indonesia, but it just so happens that Indonesia has one of the best chances to see mola possible. Like, I have friends that live in Bali, and during mola season, they see them all the time. Huge ones, small ones, ones that look like they could swallow a diver. And I definitely have to see this. Now, I've dove all over Indonesia, from the far east to Raja Ampat to Lembeh Straits, Alor, Mamir, Komodo, everywhere you could think of. But I've not dove in Bali. So I need to get to Bali and film the mola. I think it's the weirdest, coolest, strangest fish out there. And I think every diver should see it once in a lifetime. Me included.
Number 7.
So, number 7 is the sea dragon. So, there's 2 species in Australia. The leafy sea dragon and the weedy sea dragon. The leafy sea dragon is probably the most coolest if you want to get down to it. It's got the most spikes and I don't know what you call them, but camouflage maybe. And they just look awesome. These guys are not super rare if you live in like southern Australia, but to the rest of the world, these are freaking awesome. If you love seahorses, and there's plenty of seahorses in the world, and I've seen a lot, including the pygmy seahorse, which is also awesome. but I've never seen a weedy or leafy sea dragon. So that is definitely top of the list for seahorses or pipefish or anything. I just want to see one.
Number 8.
Number 8, I want to think of something super rare, something far away from the Southeast Asia. And I'm going to go with something I've always wanted to see. It's in the back of my mind, and I just never had a chance to go where they are. The narwhal. So, as you guys know, you probably see amazing photos from like Sean Hendricks and whoever with they're called the unicorn of the sea for a good reason, you know? They got the huge spikes on their noses or whatever, and they're always like coming out of the ice in Canada or Manitoba. I don't know where they are. Maybe Greenland, Manitoba, Canada, maybe Alaska. I'm not sure. You guys let me know where I can find a narwhal and where I can film it underwater, even if it's just a few meters, and I will be one happy dude. Narwhal is probably the number one whale I want to see in the world. Yeah, I want to see all of them, but narwhals are really, really unique looking, and I gotta film them. I don't want to get stabbed, but it'd be cool.
Number 9.
Number 9, you gotta say the basking shark. So while I'm talking about huge animals, why not go with the basking shark? Basking sharks, to me, look insane. It's the second biggest shark. And hey, don't get me wrong, if I hadn't seen whale sharks, that would be number 1 on my list, as it should be. If you haven't seen a whale shark, make that a priority. But I have seen plenty of whale sharks. Hell, I live in Philippines. They're in Indonesia. They're in Maldives, Egypt, everywhere I've been. But the basking shark is almost as cool. It's the second biggest shark in the world. And you see that huge mouth. It's super iconic. People like all these dramatic list type YouTube channels, like the top 10 scariest fish in the world. They always use the basking shark as a photo or a thumbnail because it's got that huge mouth. But it's a filter feeder, just like the whale shark, but with a lot bigger mouth. And I definitely want to see him. So I have friends that have seen him a lot in Scapa Flow, that area in Scotland, northern UK, that area. So I'm guessing that's the best place in the world to see him. I'm not sure. So let me know where the best place I can possibly go to see a basking shark is. And I'll go.
Number 10.
So number 10, there's so many things on my list that it's hard to list them all here. I mean, I'm only talking about 10, but to be honest, there's thousands of things I want to see. There's thousands of things I have seen, like a thresher shark or a wobbegong shark or a walking shark. But this video is about things I want to see. So it's really hard to narrow down what I should list of only 10. So I wanted to think of something super rare on my list that maybe nobody watching this video has seen in the real world, maybe never even heard of. So I had to look at my list, and I went with the upside down shrimp. Yeah. So before you Google it, if you Google it, you're probably going to find a bunch of recipes and meals about upside down shrimp, whatever. But it's an actual shrimp. When they are found, they usually flip over and play dead. And they look dead. They'll be sitting on top of an enemy or a reef or whatever, and they just play dead. Scientists even flip them over, and they get up, roll back over, and play dead again. And so no matter how many times they flip them over, they just flip themselves over. So besides that, and that they're only found in Indonesia, and they're super, super rare. Maybe the most rare species on this list, which is saying a lot. How I first discovered them is my Reef Creature Identification book by Paul Human. I mean, if you're a diver in Asia, you know this book. It has thousands and thousands of species. You know, you get out of a dive, you're like, oh my god, what did I see? You go find it. And look, they actually have the upside down shrimp. So this shrimp is so unique. Like, who does that? I've heard of hognose snakes in the States that play dead, and maybe a few, like a possum or something. But a shrimp that plays dead, that's just cool. So guys, it had to be on the list. So there you go, guys. That is 10 of the biggest bucket list items that I have on my list of species to film in the wild someday. And what do you think? If you've seen any of these, then props. But if you've seen all of these on the list in the wild, give me a shout. I want to know you. I want to talk to you. I want to pick your brain. I want to know where you've been diving. You are awesome. But I doubt there's anybody out there that has. So what do you guys think? Tell me what ones that you've seen or that I missed. What ones should have been on the list? I mean, I'm going to agree with you no matter what you say because my list is huge. I just wanted to pick out 10 for this video. But hey, if you want me to make a part 2, I can give you 10 more. Just let me know. So make sure to subscribe, guys. I'm coming out with a video every day or two. And I hope to see you there. I'll see you on the next one, though. Bye.